At UFC 298, Ian Machado Garry defeated Jeff Neal and immediately got on the microphone and called out Colby Covington. And I love this call out. I think it's a perfect fight, but I believe that Colby Covington will duck Ian Machado Garry with his life. And Ian Machado Garry recognizes that as well. And he went on the MMA Hour and absolutely obliterated Colby Covington. And he's now backed Colby into a corner where basically Colby really can't turn down this fight. He really doesn't have any other options. It was perfect. Garry did a perfect interview with the MMA Hour. And at this point, if Colby Covington turns down an Ian Machado Garry fight, he needs to be cut from the organization. If he's unwilling to fight Garry, Colby Covington needs to be cut from the organization. But I truly believe Colby's going to try to duck this fight with his life. He's already been preemptively ducking it before Ian Machado Garry even defeated Jeff Neal, and we're going to take a look at a couple clips. But the main purpose of this video, I want to look at the MMA Hour interview with Ian Machado Garry and just go over how he absolutely destroys Colby Covington and just perfectly backs him into a corner where he's making the fans know, he's making Colby know that if this fight does not happen, it's because of one person and one person only, and that is Colby Covington. So at least people know what's going on here, that is Ian Machado Garry's only goal is to get the Colby Covington fight, because Colby's been, being his typical trolley self before his fight with Leon Edwards, talking crap about, Garry and his wife and all this and that. But Colby Covington is an internet troll, basically. He talks and talks and talks, and then when it comes time to end up stepping in the cage, he either ducks the fight or he sits out for 2 years, and then he just prays he gets another undeserved title shot. And I want to start by going over Colby Covington's career, because Colby Covington has one of the worst resumes in UFC history for a guy who's fought for a title 3 times and a former interim champion. If you go over his recent resume, and honestly, we're going to go over his entire resume basically, or at least the last couple years, he trades nothing but wins and losses. Lost to Leon Edwards, beat Jorge Masvidal. Lost to Kamaru Usman, beat Tyron Woodley. Lost to Kamaru Usman, beat Robbie Lawler. And that's going all the way back to 2018, essentially. And I want to highlight the last 3 wins for Colby Covington. Jorge Masvidal, March 2022, UFC 272. Jorge Masvidal was 37 years old on a 2-fight losing streak. The fight before that, okay, he lost to Usman. Okay, fair enough. The last win before that, we're going over wins here. He beat Tyron Woodley. Horrible performance. Boring fight. He would have never got the TKO if Woodley didn't kind of flukily injure his rib. Tyron Woodley at that point in time. This was September of 2020. 2-fight losing streak, 38 years old. Fight before that, or win before that, because he lost to Usman before that, got KO'd by Usman. Win before that, Robbie Lawler, August 2019. Robbie Lawler was on a 2-fight losing streak and was 37 years old. So the last time that Colby had a win against a guy who was under 35 on a winning streak was all the way back in 2018 against RDA. RDA was 33 years old, coming in on a 3-fight winning streak, and this was for the interim welterweight title that Colby then won, but then was stripped of because basically he was turning down fights against Tyron Woodley at the time when Woodley was champion. And it could have been negotiations with the UFC, but the point being, you look at Colby's career over the last 6 years, basically the only thing he's done, the only notable thing that he's done is have competitive fights with Kamaru Usman in fights that he clearly lost by decision and in a fight that he got clearly TKO'd in the 5th round. The other fights, dead bodies. Jorge Masvidal, over 35, losing streak. Tyron Woodley, dead body. I mean, and think about where they've gone since then. Jorge Masvidal's retired. Tyron Woodley's retired. And, I mean, what a horrible streak he ended up on after that. Or before that, I think before that he lost to Gilbert Burns, and then before that is when he lost to Usman. But he hasn't won a fight even since that. Usman lost 2 fights before Colby. And then, obviously, Robbie Lawler just recently retired. He obviously had a slope, was out of the rankings. So that's Colby's most recent wins. The only thing Colby's ever been known for is having close fights with Kamaru Usman. I don't understand why we perpetually elevate guys off of losses, especially when they get finished. The one fight he got finished by Kamaru Usman. But Colby has gotten undeserved title shot after undeserved title shot, really 2 undeserved title shots, but I didn't mind the first one against Usman. There wasn't really anyone getting skipped over, but the most recent one against Leon Edwards was just so egregious. We had multiple guys that could have been in line for the title. Instead, we get Colby Covington, who sat out in witness protection, shows up and gets a title shot, gets a handout from the UFC, goes out there against Leon Edwards and absolutely shits the bed, does absolutely nothing. The only thing he did in the lead up was talk about Leon Edwards' dead father, talk about Ian Machado Garry's wife, and then shows up and literally just fights not to get meme KO'd. Now, he showed up at the post-fight presser at UFC 296, and he had one of the most embarrassing press conferences I've ever seen. I did a full dedicated video on this, which I will link down in the description, but I want to go over the points where basically he's already preemptively ducking contenders at this point. He's already preemptively at the UFC 296 press conference ducking contenders. He starts out right away. I mean, this is 27 seconds into the UFC 296 press conference. He's begging for Wonderboy Thompson. He's begging for the dead carcass of 40-year-old Wonderboy Thompson. That's what he's doing here. Listen to this.
Excuses. There's a reason the front window is bigger than the rear view. So, it's in the past now. I'm not going to worry about the past. I'm going to focus on what's next, There's a guy that's been talking a lot of shit to me in the media, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Does anybody honestly believe Stephen Wonderboy's talking shit to Colby? It's just completely egregious, and a media member can't even believe it and ask him, and he doesn't even clarify. Listen to this.
Everybody thinks he's a nice guy. He's had a lot to say about me, so I'd love to see him say that to me in the cage, in the octagon.
What exactly has he been saying about you?
Oh, he was just saying some stuff before the fight. Oh, he's going to get his jaw broke. Oh, this and that. He's always talking shit, throwing shade. So I'd love to see him say it to my face. He's always got things to say to you guys in the media. But I've never seen him come up to me face to face. We were backstage at the press conference. He kept his head down the whole time.
When I saw this initially, and again, this is like the first minute of the press conference, I knew Colby's career was over. I knew his confidence was in the gutter. The fact that you have all these killers at welterweight, and he's like, yeah, give me Wonderboy, who can't grapple to save his life. If you wrestled in elementary school, Wonderboy does not want to fight you. I knew Colby was done right here, but we'll listen to a little bit more.
So, he always has things to say. I'm a man of my word. I say things to people when I look them right in the eye and I say, let's do it. Let's go in the octagon. So, I'd love to see him, sometime next year. And, we've been at the top of the division for the longest. We're two guys that have never fought that have been at the top of the division for years. So, I think that's the fight that makes the most logical sense next.
That's the fight that makes the most logical sense next. He wants the 40-year-old dead body of Wonderboy Thompson. Completely egregious, completely embarrassing. Wonderboy's coming off a loss where he got finished with ease against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now, one more clip from the UFC 296 post-fight presser, again, is him just brutally ducking any contenders. And this comes off of a question about, would he fight Shavkat? And basically, he says, no way I would ever fight Shavkat, and then volunteer Shavkat for Leon. I don't think that's in the clip I'm going to show you. But then immediately starts pushing the narrative towards Wonderboy Thompson. He knows exactly what he's doing here.
It doesn't really make sense. I think, Wonderboy has a bigger name. It's a bigger fight for the division, bigger business for the UFC. I'm the company, man. Whatever the UFC wants. I fought the pound for pound #1 guy. That's the pound for pound #4 guy in the world. That's him, and I feel like I wasn't even in a fight with him. So
feel like I wasn't even in a fight with him. He's talking about Leon Edwards. Meanwhile, you've been complaining you were injured, and that's why the reason you didn't put on a good performance.
It just shows how good I am and what I'm capable of. So anybody the UFC wants to do, but I'm looking towards Wonderboy. He said some things, and I have a bad taste in my mouth about him right now. So I want to.
I said this before, but I'll say it again. Colby, that bad taste in your mouth is not anything Wonderboy said. It's Donald Trump's balls. That's what it is. So basically, he just ducks him and says, I want to see, here, I'll finish it up.
Beef in the octagon.
He wants to settle that beef in the octagon. And every video I show you in this video, I will link down in the description, but that's the UFC 296 post-fight presser. Then he did an interview recently, and I did a full dedicated video on this as well, but we're going to show you 2 clips from it, where Colby was handed it on a silver platter. He was handed a layup question to talk shit about Ian Machado Garry and go after Ian Machado Garry, but instead he essentially uses this time to beg for Wonderboy Thompson. That's what he does here. Listen to this.
On earth right now. So whatever the UFC deems necessary, there's a lot of options, boy. We got Gilbert coming up, that fat lesbian, just like...
By the way, that's the only funny thing Colby's ever said. He stole that line from Conor McGregor. And also, Colby will say, oh, I'll fight whoever the UFC gives me, but he immediately steers the narrative towards Wonderboy. You'll see.
Conor said he's coming up in March. If he beats that other kid that he's fighting, whatever the scrub's name is, then that's a possibility. I think Wonderboy guys make the most sense. The ultimate nice guy versus the ultimate bad guy. He's came on this show, Submission Radio, and had a lot of things to say. Oh, Colby's going to get knock out Colby. Oh, all these things. He's number 6 in the world. I'm number 5 in the world right now.
So Colby said Wonderboy's number 6, Colby's number 5. It makes perfect sense. I think that's what he says here. Listen to this.
That fight makes the most sense.
So the rankings, according to him, he's number 5, Wonderboy's number 6. The rankings, it just makes perfect sense, even though the rankings are horseshit. Let's take a look at the rankings right now. Well, guess who happens to be number 5, and guess who happens to be number 6 now? Number 5, Colby Chaos Covington. Number 6, Ian Machado Garry. So, according to Colby, it makes perfect sense here, according to the rankings. But let's go back and listen to him duck a little bit more here.
So, let's do karate versus wrestling. Let's get this done. He's had a lot of things to say, so I want to hold his words accountable in the media. Let's see if he's about that. Let's see if he can talk the talk and walk the walk like myself. So
I'm not even sure what he was saying there, to be honest. But again, he's just trying to shift the narrative. I don't want Ian Machado Garry. Give me Wonder Boy. Ian Machado Garry, undefeated, 14-0, 26 years old, 27 years old. Has ranked wins? No way. By the way, I forgot to mention off the top, on Colby's entire resume right now, he has no wins over anyone who's currently in the top 15. I know you can say, well, Joey, there were some guys that were ranked when he beat them, blah, blah, blah. We're not going into a time machine to go over someone's resume about what makes sense for today. We're not going in a time machine. No ranked wins, and Ian Machado Garry brings that up perfectly in an interview. Now, we're going to take a look at one more clip in here before we get to the Ian Machado Garry interview, where, again, he's asked, are you rooting for Ian Machado Garry so you can get that fight? That's a big fight. Of course, Colby wants the biggest fights, right? Immediately uses it to shift away and beg for Wonderboy Thompson again.
And by the way, do you think he will beat Jeff in this fight leading into you?
I have no idea. I've never watched the Busboy fight other than when he got destroyed by the Wonder Boy. So that's why I want to fight Wonder Boy, because he's at the top of the division. We're two guys that have been the top of the division for the longest, and we need to square off. He's had things to say, but as far as the Busboy goes, I mean, I don't know. Even if the Busboy beats him, is he still going to have that Busboy job at Outback?
So there you go. He uses it. Layup question. Are you rooting for Ian Machado Garry against Jeff Neal? Because that fight's big and that's a fight you want. No. I want Wonderboy. I want the dead body of Wonderboy. So Colby embarrassing himself time and time again after that disgraceful performance at UFC 296. Now let's get to the Ian Machado Garry MMA Hour interview. I'll link this down below. This was a great interview. I typically don't watch interviews. I sat through this in its entirety as president of the Ian Machado Garry fan club. I sat through this entire thing. By the way, guys, we're still accepting applications. Let me know down in the comments you want to join the Ian Machado Garry fan club. But we're going to start right away with him already just shitting on Colby Covington with facts. Listen to this.
In the world, I'd have beaten more guys in the top 15 than Colby Covington has. That's nuts. Already, I've beaten more guys in the top 15 than Colby Covington has.
That's true. That's facts. That is facts. Ian Machado Garry has 2 current top 15 ranked wins. Colby Covington has 0. Now, in Gary's defense a little bit, I think he might have said it here in a second. I don't remember if I included it in the clips that I'm going to show you. But I think at one point Garry does say 3. I think he's mistaken because at the time he beat Daniel Rodriguez was ranked in the top 15, but he's not in the top 15 rankings anymore. So I want to be very clear about that. We're not going into a time machine, but that was kind of recent. But listen to some more of this.
I would love that Colby fight. I don't care where it is on the planet. If it's in Dublin, if it's in Vegas, if it's on the moon, I don't mind where it is. I just want to destroy him and rid him from the UFC. I think he's a terrible person. He's fake. He's a persona. He's a character. Yes, he has fans on his side, but that makes it even bigger. And to beat someone like him, to do it in Ireland would be a dream come true.
So he says, Colby's a piece of shit. I want to fight him. That's the fight. The fans might be on his side, but that's the fight I want. And to do it in Ireland would be amazing, but I'll fight him anywhere. And he reiterates that multiple times throughout the interview. Anytime, any place, in Miami, in Las Vegas, in Ireland, I will fight him anywhere. He's not going to escape me. I want to retire him from the UFC, essentially is what he says. And he's already setting the narrative. Look, there's no way he can't accept this fight. I'm a big name now. I'm undefeated. I'm a young prospect that's got a lot of hype behind me. I have more ranked wins than him. I'm moving up in the rankings, and I think he even discusses that in the next clip. He's backing Colby into a corner here, and he's making the facts known, which I think is just perfect. Now, in this next clip, he talks more about Colby Covington and saying, look, you know, I want to earn my title shot as well. He talks about earning his title shot. He wants to beat Colby and then one more person before he gets his title shot. So he's looking to earn a title shot. He's not looking to just, you know, sit out and witness protection forever and get a handout like Colby Covington did, is essentially what he's saying here. Listen to this.
Evolve, but also to prove it. I've beaten 3 top 15 guys already in my career.
There you go. There's the clip I talked about earlier. Technically, I understand what he's saying here, but just to go off the logic I went earlier, it's really 2 because Daniel Rodriguez is no longer in the rankings.
If I go out there and I beat Colby Covington next, and he is who's next, and then you give me another top 3 guy, let's use Usman, for example. I've just beaten 5 top 15 guys, and then I get to fight for a world title. No one can tell me that's not earned or deserved.
Ian Machado Garry. How refreshing is that, guys? Whether you love Garry, hate Garry, indifferent to Garry, he wants to earn his shot. He's not trying to say, oh, I'm a big star, give me a title fight already, even though I only beat Jeff Neal. Absolutely not. He's saying, I want to earn my way there. Earn his way there. He wants to beat Colby, beat one more top 3 guy. He even talks about fighting Usman, Shavkat. He said the only guy he would prefer not to fight is Gilbert Burns, but he would if he had to. He even says that in this very interview. Again, I'll link it down below. You can check out the full thing. But I absolutely love that. I literally absolutely love that he's willing to earn his title shot, and he wants to prove that he is the best in the world. I'm not saying he's definitely going to be champion. I know people are going to say, Joey, you're so biased. I just love that mentality. He wants to be active. He wants to prove he's the best. He wants to earn his title shot. Now, in this next clip, he absolutely shits on Colby, and I just enjoyed it because it's all facts, too. It's all completely facts here, and it's just perfect. This is where he really starts backing him into a corner here. You'll hear it.
He doesn't have the mindset that I have. I mean, the guy's a joker and a clown. He's going to get cooked by the UFC until he put on this fake persona that everybody knows about and is aware about. He's a pantomime.
So he's basically saying Colby has a boring-ass style, and if it wasn't for his weird character where, you know, he's a sycophant for Donald Trump and kind of grifts right-wing, you know, obsessed fan bases, he wouldn't even be in the UFC anymore.
But I know for a fact I'm the biggest fight he's going to get. He's not going to fight an Usman. He's not going to fight a Shavkat. He's not going to fight Callout because
it's the biggest fight that Colby can get right now. Why? Colby says he wants the biggest fights. Why would he want any other fight than Ian Machado Garry right now? It's the biggest fight available to him. And he's pointing it out. I love that he's pointing it out because at the end of the day, perception is reality. And that's what made me want to make this video. Perception is reality. Colby has to take this fight. If he does not take this fight, he needs to be cut from the organization for being a pussy. PMF. He's the new PMF, guys.
They're all terrible matchups for him. I'm a striker at heart. Striker versus wrestler makes sense. I've also not been tested against an elite American wrestler in the...
How can you not love that? Gary's self-aware enough. I know people say, oh, he doesn't know what he's not aware of what's going on with him and his wife and blah, blah, blah. All horseshit. He said, I have not been tested against an elite American wrestler like Colby. And he was even complimentary of Colby's skill set throughout this interview. Like, Colby's really good. He has a good, wrestling base and blah, blah, blah. But he says, why not test me? Why not get that test before I get towards potentially fighting for a #1 contender spot or a title fight?
The division. So give me the guy who's arguably the best at it. Let me show the world how much better I am than him. Let me do it over 5 rounds.
He even wants to fight Colby for 5 rounds. I mean, I don't care if you hate this guy's guts. How can you not respect that? He wants to earn his way to a title shot. He wants to be active, and he's calling for this fight against Colby, a style that he hasn't really been tested against. And on top of that, the worst possible scenario against Colby Covington is a 5-round fight because Colby's known to use his stamina as a weapon. Absolutely love it. Have to applaud that.
Let me do it on a massive main event in Ireland or a co-main event on the Conor McGregor-Michael Chandler card, whenever that is. But I promise you now, Eric, I promise you now, heart to heart, eye to eye, I will put Colby Covington face down on the canvas, whether I knock him out or whether I choke him unconscious. I don't care how it happens. I know for a fact it will happen because he's never, ever, ever going to be as good as me.
So there you hear him, a guy that was accused, oh, you're scared of a Colby press conference. For all the weirdo WWE fans that are like, can't wait to see Colby get at Ian Machado Garry. If you're saying that somehow Garry doesn't deserve this fight or you don't want to see this fight, you are the same people that love that WWE banter. Why wouldn't you want them to go back and forth when they're actually going to step in the cage together? Why do you want to see Colby at a press conference when he's got a different fight talking about Garry when they're not going to fight each other? Now you get what you want. The WWE fans can love this because guess what? Colby Covington's nothing more than an internet troll who doesn't like to back up his trash talk. And now Gary's willing, the family man and alpha male, wants Colby because not only does he want to earn his title shot and get tested, He wants to defend his family's honor from an internet troll that does nothing but talk shit. I respect it so much.
And I just know that there is not a bigger matchup for him to take. There is no bigger paycheck for him to get at the moment because I am the biggest name he can compete against.
Facts, and he's backing Colby badly into a corner here. He's making it known this is the only fight you can take. Only fight you can take. If Colby doesn't take this fight, he needs to be cut.
And I think that said and done, he's also not in a position where he gets to turn down fights anymore. You take what you're given or you don't fight at all.
Exactly, and that's why I believe the UFC will try to make this fight, but I got a sneaking suspicion. I have a sneaking suspicion that Colby's going to try to find a way. I'm injured, my foot, this and that. He's making up fake x-rays just so he can, have an excuse for why he had a shitty performance against Leon Edwards in a welterweight title fight, his last title fight of his entire career. Doesn't even attempt to fight, and then at the end holds up his hands and claims robbery based on political affiliations. And then for you WWE fans here, here's more in a second of Ian Machado Garry, again, backing him into a corner some more, and also talking a little bit of shit here so you can enjoy the build-up for this fight. Whether you hate Garry or not, whether you love Colby, hate Colby, love Garry, hate Garry, you got to love this fight because if you like Colby and you hate Garry, you get to see potentially Colby beat him. If you hate Garry or if you love Garry, you get to see potentially Garry beat up Colby. So this fight is a win-win in terms of general fan interest, and this isn't like fake drama. Colby kind of made it fake drama, but Garry actually wants to make him pay for his words. And that's what makes this fight incredible, and it makes perfect sense right now. You've seen the rankings. So this last clip I'm going to show you here is probably the best clip of the whole interview, to be honest. And it's just, again, him using his statements and using his platform on the MMA Hour here to back Colby into a corner to say, you must take this fight. And he's just laying out the facts. This is the biggest fight you can get right now. I'm the biggest name you can get right now. This is the biggest check, and you don't have the ability right now. You're on a 3-fight skid. You don't have the ability to pick and choose fights. Honestly, Garry should be ranked above Colby right now, in my opinion, based on recent activity.
So I believe 100% it is Colby. I believe he's not in a position where he gets to choose anymore. You lose 3 world title fights, you don't get to choose anymore. The young prospect coming up is 14-0.
By the way, the audio is not necessarily synced with the video. That's some problem on the MMA Hour. That's not some problem on my end. I noticed that when I was pulling out these timestamps.
Who's 7-0 in the UFC, who's doing everything he said he would. That's the guy who gets to choose his next opponent. That's the guy who gets to call it out and make it happen. Now, if Colby wants to do it in Miami in the summer, or he wants to do it at International Fight Week, or he wants to do it in Dublin, wherever he wants, I'll say yes. Whenever he wants, I'll say yes.
He's not giving Colby any out. He's not giving Colby any out. He's saying, look, I'm ranked in the top 10. I'm number 6 now. Again, you heard Colby earlier. Well, Wonderboy's number 6, so it makes sense for me to fight him. Well, guess what? Colby's number 5. Ian Machado Garry's number 6. He's saying, I will fight you anytime, anywhere, whether it's in your backyard in Miami or whether it's in Ireland. I'll fight you anywhere. I'll fight you for 5 rounds. I'll fight you for 3 rounds. I absolutely love this mentality because he's not giving Colby an out. There's no way. Colby's already escaped countless other fights. He's already ducked Khamzat Chimaev and others. He's not getting away from Ian Machado Garry, and this is a massive fight. Whether you like Garry or you like Colby, you should want this fight. The only reason you wouldn't want this fight is if you hate Ian Machado Garry, you love Colby, and you don't want to see Colby lose.
The ball's in his court now. But the truth is, I'm the biggest fight he can get when it comes to someone who's going to talk back. When it's someone who's going to respond to him, when it's someone who, when they get in that octagon, all the shit he will have said leading up to that fight, I'll talk to him when I beat the fuck out of him in that octagon. If Trump's in attendance.
Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah, Garry is selling the fight to you boys right here. And this is kind of a legit beef in a way. It's Colby being a cornball, but Garry took this shit and it's like, you know what? I want to make that guy pay for his words. He's an internet troll. I want to make him pay for it. And looks, he even brings Trump into the conversation. I don't think Trump will be there. Trump left while Colby was on the mic at UFC 296 after that piss poor performance. Probably embarrassed him, to be honest.
I will drag Colby in front of Trump and I will beat the mouth off him. And I'll say, this is what you created. Boom. This is MAGA. Boom. I was like, it's no more. Get rid of him. Get him out of UFC. I will silence Colby Covington. I will hit him so hard he never speaks again. And when he loses to someone like me, a young prospect, he's going to go, all right, maybe he goes back to Miami. He's got one girl on one show, one girl on the other show, and he's beat the fucking goes, maybe I should rethink my life choices now. Maybe I should retire. Maybe I should do all these. That kid gave me an ass whooping I've never had before in my life. That's the way I want to beat Colby. I don't care where it is or how it's done. I'm going to destroy him.
So there you go. Is Ian Garry not selling the fight for you? Ian Machado Garry, as I always like to make sure I make emphasis on the word Machado, because some reason the incel Sean Strickland fan base gets so upset by that. There is no out for Colby. He must take this fight. We have to, as fans, have to demand this fight. Garry did a perfect job of absolutely selling this fight perfectly. There is no out for Colby. He is now backed into a corner. This is the only fight to take. It makes sense in terms of rankings. It makes sense in terms of it's the biggest fight that he can get. It makes sense in it tests an up-and-coming prospect who's now kind of entered the conversation of contender. It makes sense from a selling standpoint. Everyone wants to talk about, oh, how many pay-per-views is going to sell? They say Colby Covington's a draw. I'll tell you right now, Ian Machado Garry is the biggest name in the welterweight division right now. Whether you want to see him win or you want to see him lose, he's a bigger name than Colby Covington. Colby Covington, another big name for the welterweight division, even though he's not a big name at all. He's selling under 400,000 pay-per-view buys or pay-per-view sales against Jorge Masvidal, who's a bigger name than him. And his star power has completely diminished after UFC 296, the little bit of star power that he had. But in terms of the way the MMA community uses the term draw or star now, and it's perverted kind of meaning, Ian Machado Garry is the biggest name in the welterweight division. There's no way Colby can avoid this fight. If he ducks Ian Machado Garry, cut him from the organization. Us as fans must demand this fight. It makes perfect sense right now. Leon Edwards should be fighting Bilal Muhammad. Shavkat Rakhmonov should be next up after that. And then we have to see how the rest of the division plays out. We got JDM making his way up the ranks. We got Ian Machado Garry making his way up the ranks. We got Sean Brady kind of making his way up the ranks, getting there very shortly. Probably needs 2 or 3 more wins. But this is the welterweight division right now, and I just want to see some activity in the welterweight division. And Garry has given Colby absolutely no way out. Anytime, any place, his choosing. 5 rounds, 3 rounds, it doesn't matter to him, and it's going to be an amazing build-up. Whether you hate Garry or hate Colby or love either one of them, it would be an amazing build-up to the fight. And stylistically, it's very interesting. We get to see Ian Machado Garry's wrestling tested. There's a chance maybe his wrestling isn't as good as we think it is. Maybe Colby goes out there and ragdolls him. But there's also a chance Ian Machado Garry stuffs every single one of Colby Covington's takedowns and beats the shit out of him on the feet and makes him pay for every word that he spoke. And I don't ever want to hear anybody say, Gary's scared of a press conference against Colby because Colby would eat him alive. You don't win fights at press conferences. That's not the way it works. So we must demand this fight. But this is a fight that needs to get made immediately. And I'm telling you, Colby Covington is going to try to weasel his way out of this fight. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.